We are red. Red is on.
Okay, today is Thursday, March 15th, year 2018, and the time is
4:50.
5:54. I was going to say 48, but that's
About 4:50.
4.
Oh, 4:50. I'm looking right at the 5. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Let's stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, today's meeting's pretty light, so I thought, and none of the faces have changed, so why don't we go right into chair and liaison and all that happy good stuff.
Oh, that would be.
And
But you should wait till after people are sworn in,
you are sworn in.
but then we'd have to join to the film, right?
No, you're just,
Well,
it's
we
just a
screwed up.
formality, but I don't know what next week's gonna bring, and I thought this would be a good time, so because we're not busy, we've got plenty of time, we've got 45 minutes before the next thing comes in, and I'd like to go right to making a motion that John Scanlon's chair and Peter Fogg be vice chair, so we have some brand new faces.
So all the girls will be sitting on the sides?
Second that.
Brand new faces.
I will second
You
it.
guys keep saying no, so I thought, you know what? And
I
Ashley
think you
keeps-
should make Ashley, because
I know,
I'm
She
already,
keeps refusing.
I've been a chair on a different commission.
Whoever wants to be chair,
You're
stand
vice
up.
this time.
Ashley.
Do I have to reveal all my vices?
Yeah.
I just thought it would be nice to have some nice new faces,
Short.
and would you be willing to be chair?
Go give it a shot.
Would you be vice chair?
So long as John makes every meeting.
I got JLB in the summer too.
Yeah.
All right. What do you want me to do?
Just
You
say
volunteered.
I was trying to move you on up.
John chair and Peter vice
I
chair.
was trying to let you be
Oh,
vice
no,
chair.
no, no,
Oh, come on,
No.
Ashley.
no,
So just
I'm
say,
serious.
just say aye and it will be John and Peter. Seriously,
Oh,
the
okay.
motion is for John.
She's
for
not
chair.
lying, Ashley.
Okay.
I know, she always says no every time I ask her. You would be very good.
You would be excellent.
All right, any more discussion on the topic?
Next year.
All those in favor of the motion on the table, please signify by saying aye.
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 I'll
So you'll
abstain.
just step into it next week. Now you'll be all ready for it, and you can cram, it won't be a surprise, and get sworn in again on Saturday. and-
One thing, John, we are going to rearrange the table and the chairs.
I think every month should be a different seat.
No, please don't do that. Seriously, because I'm not, it's a health thing for me. That's all. I don't care where I sit. It doesn't matter where I sit, but please just let me have the same seat. It's a health thing with me.
So we can rotate around, Pat.
That's fine, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
it's-
Peter comes in sick one week, and then I have to sit in that chair that week. It's just,
Oh,
So, the ex officio
Peter.
positions, normally the ex officios normally follow the terms of the selectmen. So, your position would be up as budget committee. Ex officio to the budget committee.
Your who, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
Your who. You said your position.
John, I'm sorry, yes, John Scanlon's position.
Thank you.
Peter is alternate ex officio for the planning board. Well, let's just start with budget committee,
why would his be up?
because his term expired, and he was re-elected. So now-
No,
John's
John
wasn't.
wasn't, I was.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is
oh,
Pat.
I almost did that.
I was really confused
You
about
liked
this.
it, so it would be
It was
Pat.
alternate,
It was Pat, alternate ex
alternate ex
officio.
officio, yeah.
You just said they didn't say anything. My next words were, "You're happy with it, aren't you?"
I was,
I reneged my thing on
You're
chair
happy with
if
it,
he-
aren't
if
you?
he'd just let that one fly.
if anybody else would enjoy doing it, and I've been doing it since '98,
Yeah, but if you want to give it up, that's fine, but it stays with your position,
fine.
and you're really good at it.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, it's just me, I'm tired.
I'll fix that.
Trying
I
it.
was mowing, see, I can't even talk, plowing my yard at 5 o'clock this morning. So
John's
the
saying
ex
that
officio,
budget-
the alternate ex officio position for budget committee is Pat Constantino, that one would be up. So the question is,
Does anyone want
does
it?
anybody want it? And Pat, are you happy with it?
What you think?
I'm okay
What
with it.
does it
I just,
require?
John is not, John's thinking about giving up officio though. He's
You know,
not-
No, he
I'd
just
switch
said
out
he
on
would.
something, but, I mean, we can still switch.
Yeah,
I was really thinking about it
and
tonight.
if
I didn't get
it
that.
come June, there's something you really, really want to do,
We can back each other up.
you
John.
can say, hey, you know, I'd really like to try,
Switch it out,
and
yeah.
if that person wants to
Swap 'em
give
or
it up,
something.
they can, and if they don't, oh well, but yeah, of course, anytime. But this is, so Peter is an alternate ex officio, I'm the ex
So
officio
was there, I'm
there.
sorry, Catherine, who's the alternate ex officio?
Pat's gonna stay with it, nobody else wanted it.
But what does it entail?
If
When
the
John's
ex-
not there, I take over.
Yes, when
I
the
got
ex
the vote.
officio member isn't there, then the alternate ex
Gotcha.
officio
Okay.
member takes that place.
So Pat's staying on it.
Yeah, so, Peter, you're the alternate ex officio on the planning board. Are you comfortable with that?
Unless someone wants it. Don't all jump at once.
I've never been on the planning.
If you want to try it, Pat.
Why don't you and Peter switch?
You want to switch?
It's
She
up to
does
you.
planning and
If
you do
you want
budget.
both, you can. If you want to switch, it's your call. I don't.
Can we legally vote?
If you got the
I
time.
believe a planning board member
Can't have a budget.
can't be on budget, so I
Right,
would
so I don't
suspect
think-
that
right,
you
but-
can't have both of those.
I don't think the selectmen can do the same.
We
Be on the
should.
budget in the, so it would be one or
So
the
if you
other.
wanted
So
to
it
do
would be
planning-
Tuesday or Wednesdays would be the answer to you, Peter. And Tuesday and Wednesdays to me, it doesn't matter
It
to me.
doesn't really matter.
He's the numbers guy.
It's fine with me, I don't care either way.
Well, if you want to switch, we can switch.
You wanna do that?
That's fine.
So are we switching?
We are switching.
They are switching
Okay, so Peter will be
Alternate
budget.
budget.
Peter budget and planning is Pat, okay,
Yep,
okay.
I'll still come to budget.
And,
Back up.
okay, Peter is ex officio on the Parks Commission.
Do commissions have to have ex officios?
Park Commission, Peter is the ex officio.
I mean, I can get out of it?
That's my question.
Probably no.
No.
Bob won't let me.
No?
The question is required to have an ex officio on a commission?
No.
That's just,
Thank you, that was my question.
yeah,
No.
No, we created that.
we just,
The Board of Selectmen created an ex
It's
officio
just sort of-
position to that a couple of years ago. Well, more than a couple.
But is it necessary?
The Board of Selectmen can change their mind, but I think it's a good idea.
Well, we had it with
Since
the
we-
executive too, and we changed our mind on that.
We gave the park commissioners our authority as selectmen. So I think it's one committee where it's good for us to have an ex officio member. It makes it kind of neat, I think. Well, Peter, do you want to keep that? I don't hear everybody saying, yes, I want it. Okay, Peter is the ex officio on the parks, moving right along. Pat is the ex officio on the police building study committee.
Yes, I want to keep it.
That's usually how that goes. All right.
Budget's good.
And we have liaison positions, so we have liaisons town hall, and we have liaison to police, and liaison to public works.
And I want to keep
So I
liaison to
thought-
police.
Well, I was gonna suggest that the liaison positions, all of them,
Mhm.
go with the town administrator,
Mhm.
because they're supposed to be, I believe it was Rick Manso who came up with the idea of liaisons, could have been Tom Cavanaugh. they're supposed to be communication conduits. That's it. If there's an emergency at the police department, like the tank rollover, they would call one person. They go back to their emergency, and that contact person, like the town administrator, would call the rest of us if necessary. Same thing with highway. Trees down, roads blocked, whatever.
I think highway is
They
good,
only
but
have
not
to
police.
call one person, not 5.
Let's readdress that idea next year, because we're gonna have a transitional with
That's-
the, with
I
the,
was gonna say
with the
that's
town
all I think is good.
administrator.
Not until fall.
Still, you're gonna be training a new person before that.
And there's nothing to it. All it is a communication avenue. It's not supposed to be anything more than communication.
And I think it's working so far, unless you have problems with the way it's working, then I think it should be stayed the same.
I think there's too much, I think the selectmen have too many fingers in that pie. Yes, I do. Listening to people in the past 2 weeks, they're very concerned with the selectmen having too much authority over public works and the police.
Well, Joyce is the liaison to the town, to highway. I'm the liaison to the police. I get a call from the chief.
What?
You said no.
No, I didn't.
Should I think,
So,
I
I
think
mean,
it should.
he only calls me when he needs me, and I'm rarely up there, so I don't really see that that's a
Then it should
valid.
go to the town administrator.
I disagree with you, highly disagree with you, adamantly disagree with you on that one.
It's just a
I
communication.
think we're subrogating our authority, and I don't think that
I
that's
still
fair.
think that's the point.
So we just come in on a Thursday night and just sign manifests and move on? Is that what you want us to do?
I want
That's
us,
fair.
well, and that's my point. It isn't a position of authority. It was created by a board of selectmen. It has not been changed except by individual selectmen. The board has never changed it. It's always was supposed to have been just a communication conduit.
It's worked this way
It isn't
for a lot of
working.
years. Yeah, it is working this way.
I don't believe
I
it
haven't
is.
heard anything negative. You're the only one that's heard anything
We
negatively.
had,
Let's take a poll.
when we had our
Take a vote.
candidates.
Let us have our meeting here, please.
Thank you.
When we had our candidates night, we had one individual stand up and talk about it in public on camera.
Well, I think with a lot of departments, I think with the police department and the amount of legal things that go on and safety things,
But they should go to the town administrator, not to one selectman. And then the rest of the selectmen would get all the information at the same time. In the meantime, the town administrator would get it firsthand, create all the documents, do all the
I
research,
think
put
you
a
had the-
package together for us.
But I think you have the
The
wrong
selectmen-
information. The chief talks to the town administration. I think that you have it
Then if the-
information because the chief comes to the town administration
If-
on many things,
If
way
he's-
before the liaison finds out.
Then if he's already talking to the town administrator, even more reason for her to be the liaison, or him.
Mm-mm.
It's a communication, that's all it is, in case something happens. It's not meant to be what it's become, at all.
I disagree. And with the amount of time right now that we have with the town administrator
Yes.
not being here during the day, I just
And we
totally
have an
disagree.
administrative assistant that can take those calls. And we have email.
And that's
We
way
have
out of
cell
hand.
phones. Anybody else have an opinion on this?
I could go almost either way.
They'll have to stay the way it
The
is.
thing is that I think Joyce is pretty busy as it is with all the things going on, and with the changeover of the administrator coming up and our interviewing and assisting in that, I don't think this would be a good time to do it.
But that's the point.
I-
All that, it's only supposed to be, the liaison position is just a communication. It's not to tell the police what they're doing wrong. It's not to tell the police how to do their job. It's not to oversee the police. It is simply,
Somebody
there's an
to add conduit.
emergency.
A
No,
conduit.
it's simply, there's an emergency. There's a tanker rollover down by 93. They alert, they alert us.
And that's what I do.
And that's what
The
happens.
text goes out immediately
Always.
to 5
A
selectmen,
lot of
a
times,
town administrator, and a selectman's assistant, and a finance director.
I'll go and, instead of calling the chief or something like that, if I, like, I think it was last week, I saw a lot of trucks and stuff like that, and fire engines from other towns going through, and I contacted Pat, because Pat's the liaison, to see if she had any idea what it was, and she called, and that saves all the selectmen from contacting other people, so it wouldn't disturb Joyce on weekends or middle of the night or anything. And,
Well, that'd
I
be
mean,
disruptive
it
to
seems
you,
to work,
Joyce,
yeah.
if you're with
No,
liaison.
in all of my other positions with other communities, and also when I worked for Hillsborough County, I was the one that different department heads would contact, because that way people would be assured that the same information is going to all 5 selectmen. And the reason I think it would be good to do this now is because when you do hire a new administrator, because that's what most administrators would expect the way things to run. So it'd be an easier transition, I think, for a new administrator coming in, because that's what they would be expecting.
I disagree with you. I feel like there's been a meeting going on before a meeting, and we're prepared. All of a sudden, we've never had a chairman or a vice chairman until after town meeting. We have that tonight. That's different. We're picking liaisons, and now you don't want to have a police liaison. You want all of it to be piled on to town administrator. I adamantly disagree with this, and I really don't feel that it just seems like there's been a meeting before a meeting, and you have a lot more information than we do, and that you're so prepared for this, and we're like bamboozled on this, and it's not really fair.
Well,
It's
I can
like
assure
we're
you,
blindsided, and I don't feel it's fair. I really feel it's worked this way for 9 years. It should stay this way for 9 years, another 9 years.
I can tell you there's been no meeting, and I think if you look back at the minutes, you'll find I bring this up every year. Because it's become something it wasn't supposed to be. And like I said, right at our candidates
You can't
night,
say, we
we
can't say
had-
you call up and say, do this, do that, do that. You can't say that the liaison does that, but you can't even say that I've done that. And if anything happens, if there's a road closure or an accident or whatever, the only thing I do is text or email every single selectman to let them know that that's what's happening. So I don't understand unless you're telling me that I'm not doing my job right. So all of a sudden, all these little pieces, you're pushing, the selectmen in a different direction, and that's not right. It's not right.
No, that's,
I'm trying to put
It
the
is not right.
I'm trying to put the Board of Selectmen back on course like I've done almost every single year.
Well, I have a course as a Board of Selectmen, and I would like to stay the course as a Board of Selectmen, and not your course as a Board of Selectmen.
It's
not
my
fair.
course. The Board of Selectmen over, 15 years ago, when was Rick Manso here last, created those positions. And that's what they were, not what they've become. So it isn't unusual.
It is what it is. They're there. We've worked them. We've done them. We've put our heart and souls into those positions that we've had. Whether ex officio, alternate ex officios, town liaison, highway liaison, police liaison, it doesn't matter. Committee members, it doesn't matter. Every single one of us sitting at this table have put our heart and souls in every single thing that we've done. And now you just want to push all that aside and just keep piling on to the town administrator. I disagree with that move.
As
Totally
I said,
disagree.
I'm not going to continue this. It's gotten crazy. Like I said, every year, I think that it's become more than it has. This year, we've heard from the public. You can go back to those minutes. You can see it on the computer. I know what people have said to me, what they've expressed, and they're not happy with the Board of Selectmen. And again, every year I bring it up, the liaison position has become something it wasn't supposed to be. and the Board of Selectmen never changed it officially. And I think it's time that it went from the selectmen to the town administrator, who's more than willing, as she said, to take it over, and why?
She's not here half the time. Come on. We've given her, no, I disagree. Yeah, it is. We've given her time for classes. She's gonna be retiring. We're gonna be training a new
And
person. No, I
I
disagree.
did find it interesting that you're grasping onto a position that's simply supposed to be a communication point. But just to end this,
Communication or not, it's still a position that you're trying to take away.
I'm trying
And it
to
just happens to be something that I have. You know, I just
Not
don't
what
get
I'm
it.
doing. I'm
I'd
gonna
like to just table it because I'd like to think about it and look into it more, because I haven't, I kind of, this was a quick one on me. And
Okay, I have no problem with that. Like I said, I was about ready to move on, but I just find it baffling. All right, so we have 20 minutes before our police building study committee. Shall we take time and do the minute? Do we have minutes?
No, sorry, don't.
Well, that's okay.
Done.
Yeah, that was good. Why don't we look at Tim's report and see if there's anything in there we need to discuss?
Okay, the Joyce is ready too, guys.
Joyce is ready.
Joyce, you ready? Come on up. Thank you. This looks like it's for us for town meeting. Thank you, Tim.
And
Yes.
I'll go to that again.
What time is the, they're on the 5:30? Yeah, yeah, okay, to do this. The first thing, Chuck called and brought to my attention that someone will need to make a motion when we get to Article 13. The sentence that says, this is the one for the carpeting, this appropriation is not included in the operating budget. We need to have someone amend that right away. That was inadvertently left out.
I didn't think it was in the operating budget.
It could have been me.
Is it in the operating budget? What's wrong with the sentence?
We're missing
Not
this.
there.
Yeah, it's not there. It says this
So which
appropriation
article?
13.
13 is not included in the
If
operating
you look at
budget.
12 above, you'll see it right above the italic.
Is that a typo, or is that something they just omitted
It was omitted.
by the printer?
No, by moi, c'est moi.
Well.
Because usually,
Okay, who's moving Article 13 to the floor?
Pat is.
Will you make that motion?
So,
We'll go
right, so
over the
what,
list
tell me
again.
what again it is, this is not included in the budget?
Yeah, the sentence, it's in all the ones above. It says, "This appropriation
Is
is
not,
not
okay,
included in the operating budget." And I'll have that typed up ahead of time and so that
all right.
you can hand it to the moderator, and he'll already know about it. We have money in town hall maintenance and repairs, but the 20,000 that's in there is not, is for other things, not just the carpeting.
Okay, I misunderstood you when you came up before I had it open. I see what
Do you
you're
have the
saying.
list of who has what I want to?
I do.
You
Okay.
want to just go over that quickly?
Yep. Okay. Article 3, Pat moves, Peter seconds. Article 4, he was going to have John and Pat, but he said he was going to speak with Scott and Jane.
Mhm.
Article 5 is John and Pat. Article 6 is John, and he didn't know, going down, he didn't know who was going to second it.
Somebody go.
So-
Yeah, someone will.
Okay, Article 7 is Pat. Article 8 is,
And I'm gonna refer to the committee, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Article 8 is Ashley. And I can have some information for you if you want to speak to that.
And then just,
Or you could defer
just
to the...
defer to
I
George.
don't even know what that is.
Just, what we do is just make a motion and then somebody seconds it, and then just say, Mr. Moderator, I could defer my time to town administrator to explain.
I'm just not sure if I want to make a motion for that, though. I wouldn't want to be.
We have to put it on the floor for discussion. That's all we're doing.
Which is looking like I support it, and I don't know that I do.
Well, it doesn't matter, I can do it if, oh, Catherine, you don't have too many to do. If you feel uncomfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to know about it.
Talk to Joyce and just let us know.
I often wonder, why do we even go through this? Why aren't we out, don't we go there? Why is it all pre-orchestrated? I've asked this before for many, many times.
I think just to save time.
I mean,
I mean,
somebody
if
always,
somebody else
Jerry
stood
always
up,
goes second.
Yeah, well, it is your warrant.
I know, but I just, you know,
if somebody else stands up and
I always, if
Chuck
somebody else
recognizes
jumps
somebody
up, I
first, I'm
just
fine
go,
with that.
yeah.
But a lot of them, because usually the person who makes the motion and brings it to the floor for discussion gets the opportunity to explain something first.
Right, but I still,
And that's,
I still don't see it as that
And we're
important,
probably more
because you get to
knowledgeable.
speak, everybody gets to speak. I'm just curious. All right, so Article 8 is hanging? We can figure that out Saturday
Yeah, we
morning.
can ask a member of the planning board, because they're the ones that want to do it
For Article 8?
for Article 8.
that would be good.
Well, Jane's already got the Jane, Deb.
I mean, here's the thing, if an
Shepherd,
article is left hanging,
Christine
one of us is gonna
Tendensky.
jump up and say, motion to,
And you would
like to move that to the floor for discussion.
Now what do we do?
Okay, so Article 9?
9 is Peter. 10 is Peter. 11 is Pat. 12 is John. 13 is Pat, and she's going to immediately amend it. 14 is Jane or somebody from the budget committee, I guess. Probably Jane. Jane's chairman of the budget committee, right?
Yeah.
So she would make that. And then Article 15 is John.
Very nice.
And just while I'm thinking of it, the only thing we still have to do for tomorrow is we're gonna make copies, extra packets of the moderator rules and the warrant and the budget.
Yes,
Okay. Other than that, we're all set
Yes.
to go. It's just collecting nameplates, and
yes,
I have to find the candy.
I have the candy
You have the candy?
today, unless you have leftover from voting.
Yeah, I do have leftover from voting.
Extension cords.
Yeah, we have a list.
The behind-the-scene preparation for town meeting.
Wi-Fi password, is that on the list?
Don't have that
Chuck
yet.
will have
Chuck will
Wi-Fi
have
password,
That's a good point.
I think it's gonna be the same as the one that we had on
We're still on that.
Tuesday.
yeah. Oh, I didn't,
Oh, you didn't do it.
Okay, in the agreements that we had with Health Trust,
Who's gonna do 15?
John,
Okay. Thank you.
back in January, you had signed the agreements for the Health Trust doing the HRA program and the FSA, and they took the HRA and the FSA and they combined it into, it's called Benefit Advantage, those programs. So we had to redo all our agreements, and it was discovered that we had left out Schedule B2, which is the fees for the HRA, that's the healthcare reimbursement account. And that's schedule of HRA service fees. And this is schedule of HRA services. So I just need the board to sign these. We signed the agreement, we signed Schedule A, but I didn't have a Schedule B. I'm supposed to start with Peter.
I don't care either end,
Okay.
as long as it
oh,
doesn't have homelessness.
just one thing before we go further. It was brought to my attention that when people have the video on, they can't hear some of the selectmen that don't have their mic close enough to their faces.
Is that me? You're looking at me.
I think that you two down there, just a reminder for everyone.
I've never
I always,
watched.
they
I
always
don't know
want
how it
mine on
goes.
there.
I don't know how close is necessary.
I don't know. Can you hear us over the speakers?
I know.
I was speaking here.
That was last time.
Did you all get the email that we're going to be meeting with the resident on Andrews Road on Saturday, March 31st at 10 o'clock? You all have that
When
written
did that
down?
one go out?
Yeah, I got that.
I'd have to look on.
So just one of us needs to sign this?
No, I sent it, I did it
For
immediately.
the last time I saw it,
Friday.
it was just Catherine and I think, had responded to it. That's why I'm assuming it wasn't set yet. I haven't seen 2 to 3 members hadn't responded. I didn't,
Let me see if we got,
behind my place,
oh, we better ask her.
the gym district.
Yeah, this is one of those.
Do you get it at 10 o'clock?
This is one of-
Yeah, we waited for him to respond,
It's
and he
13 in.
sent us a response, and I,
There's only one signature line.
oh, that's right.
Bottom or?
What time?
10.
Just sign on my these lines.
Right. Day report, there's, will be at least, no, I don't.
Let me just look real quick here. So last Friday's date, he would have answered me, he answered me that Friday, because I sent it out that night. Oh, let me go on and I can.
Friday was the 9th, Joyce.
What?
It was the 9th.
The ninth?
That was last Friday.
Oh,
too.
is that not-
Oh, that's what we got. Good call.
As I recall, Peter, it was, that's why it was going to be made on a Saturday, so that.
No, I know, but I didn't think the majority of the board had responded they were available, was the last I saw.
Yeah, okay. And so I emailed that to him and asked him if we could do it that 31st, and it's 10 o'clock, okay? And he emailed back and said yes.
Right, and I responded, and I thought I saw Catherine responded, I had yet to see 1, 2, 3, that's why I'm still in the air that it's,
Okay,
you don't have a majority of us yet, so that was the problem.
okay.
Is he,
Yeah, come talk about it anytime. Yes,
so we don't have to sign it yet?
I was just asked to put it in there.
All right, I'm going to need a brief non-public to go over an elderly deferral. This is the quitclaim deed for the parcel off Winter Street. We received our payment, $580.
Thanks, Stan.
Here's the copy of the check. So this is a quitclaim deed. As soon as we sign this and I get it recorded, then we can do the voluntary lot merger. Forgot to send. And then the only other two things I have are, we're gonna work on the hiring policy. I have the non-public session. Maybe we could do it under yours. We're gonna talk about the lights, island lights. And I wanted to talk about where we're at with Caleb Hill Road, and I did send out the Winter Street resurfacing. But I'd like to have Brock here so we can talk about that. Can we wait another week on that one?
We can't, we don't want to go too long with Caliph because we're gonna have to, we're gonna do something. We gotta move along with it, we can't let it draw.
Well, one thing we were thinking is that if Brock and I and maybe 1 or 2 selectmen could sit down with District 3 and talk to them and get a commitment from them to at least, there's 4 really bad places on Caleb Hill, and get a commitment for them for this coming winter that they will fix the drainage on those, at least get that squared away.
It's better than nothing, I guess.
So that's it.
Okay,
Let me,
come back.
I'm just gonna move this stuff so.
Oh, I left this out because I want to talk about it. What's this?
Yep.
You guys gonna come up, we're gonna sit, what do you wanna do?
Whatever you tell us.
All right.
Yeah.
So you better.
Pleasure to meet you.
Sit right here.
Well, this is Winter Street, right?
I'll tell you what page, do you have it on?
I don't have it on
I'll let you use mine. It's on page 77. Here.
Hold on. Okay. Police Building Study Committee, yay. All fair said publicly, thank you, but thank you. And thank you for continuing.
Do you want us to gather around, or do you
Whatever makes you comfortable.
have to stand at attention, or can I sit?
It would be better if you sat so you could speak into the microphone, whoever's going to be doing the speaking. And you guys are more than welcome to come up or do as you are. Congratulations on your win.
That's Joyce, that's not it.
It isn't page 77?
No. We were looking for the exact writing that you have in the town report from the committee.
Yeah.
And we're on the wrong page here. Key thing, that's the chief's report.
What does it say on the index? I don't even want to know.
It's in the beginning, I think.
Just to the...
4, page 4.
Oh, right up front.
Okay, well, there you have it.
Police Study Building Committee.
Well, I guess I will start with just good evening, and thank you for having us here tonight. I think it's important to, you probably had seen it on the videos, but to know that we probably spent more time in non-public session than we did in public session during our meetings for obvious reasons. And we feel that, we worked hard, but the hard work is really ahead of us on whatever could come of this. The first thing we would like to address is how would the Board of Selectmen like to address this at the town meeting on Saturday, as far as a report to the public. We discussed it at a couple of different meetings on should we be addressing the public at the town meeting of just the progress of the committee.
I think so.
Okay. In what fashion, or we're looking for direction from the Board of Selectmen, how you'd like to do that. And then we'll decide, I guess, who's going to do it.
I think it's always
Or you
nice
can
to
decide.
give them as much information as possible.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, there's non-public information you can't divulge, but in all of these things, like when we're doing Riverfront Park, if we're doing Business Park, we drive that police attempt, all the police attempts. The more information you give them, it usually generates the more questions and the more knowledge they have.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps, but.
I think it does. We hadn't met before tonight to find out, the kind of the didactics of how that will happen on Saturday. Maybe we should have met before tonight with you folks just to see how you wanted that done. Certainly we can read down through the letter that we have And I think in my opinion, we need to be careful because there's a lot of non-public information on the part of where do we go. We can certainly tell them what we reviewed and how we did it and what we've eliminated, if that makes sense.
You can say that basically we started out here and we looked at these couple of properties. We decided very quickly that this wasn't going to work for the town of Tilton. It wasn't in the best interest of the town of Tilton. And we went forward as a committee and looked at many, or you could say a total of 78 or 73, whatever it was. And we've narrowed it down. And we have some very viable pieces of property, that promising pieces of property or whatever. And
How definitive of the pieces of property that we're looking at do we get? Because
we can,
that's where it gets tricky, because that's, if I was just a taxpayer, I'd be like, so where are you looking?
So
that would be the one
we're gonna
first
ask that.
question.
we can say that we're not at liberty right now to say where those two pieces of property are, because it is non-public, because it is in negotiations, but we are currently negotiating with the owners, because we are negotiating with the owners. And that can be public information, that we are negotiating with the owners on those 3 pieces of property. And then when that information, when we gather all of that and continue to meet and gather all that information, that we will update the public via, update the selectmen, update the public via public hearings, and continue the forum that we've been continuing. And then by next year at this time, we'll have a very definitive parcel of property, plans, conceptual plans, and a cost.
For the time. So by
No, I
next
think
year, we're gonna have this?
With those 3 pieces of property, we will.
Well, I guess in my opinion, if we were to say it is our hope that we will be able to move at a business speed that will prepare a plan for next year's town meeting. That's our hope.
Just don't make promises.
Well, and I think that's the key thing is,
Very careful.
but we want to try
The
to,
words you
our
choose.
goal is to work within the next calendar year before the town meeting to bring before the voters something that we all feel, you and our committee feel is going to work for the town.
And I think
The most,
I think it's important that we tell them that the reason that we're not bringing one of these properties forward is that we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence, to make sure that we're not jumping the gun, doing this just so we can
That's
get
what
it
I was
on the
gonna
docket. We want to make sure that we're presenting it properly with all the information that we can versus going in with not all.
That's
We're
probably the
looking
most
through it
important
under
thing,
every rock.
just to get across, we're
Right.
being thorough. We've looked at 78 properties. I mean, it could get a little hairy, I don't know, maybe we should just not disclose properties, I don't know, but I would just,
No,
I think just
Not the locations.
getting it across that you guys are taking this very seriously, you're being thorough, and, you know, you're moving slowly to
We're
benefit the
looking at
town.
centrally located to the town, so it's, because that's one of the big questions that we run into. The last time it seemed like they didn't like the location because it wasn't visible and it wasn't accessible
Right.
easily. But I think it's important to let them know that's the type of property that we're looking for, because we heard big complaints from the last
Right.
vote.
the question I've been asked the most is, why aren't we developing a piece of property we already own? Why are we looking at buying something else? And my response is because the cost of development, and it just isn't the right size.
I think that brings up an important point that we certainly looked at it the first couple of meetings, is we looked at some of the work that other committees have done, and we also looked at property that we owned and with the focus on Business Park Drive. And we did a site visit, we reviewed all of the information with thorough due diligence on the build-out cost it was not advantageous to the taxpayers, and we didn't feel comfortable bringing that forward.
And that's the type of thing they need to hear,
Right.
that you know, we know you've done due diligence. They don't.
Okay.
And those are the kind of questions you're
And
gonna be
part of your
asked.
problem is, depending where in town you look, some water lines are a Ponzi scheme, some aren't.
That's right.
So some you have to pay big bucks to connect into, others, no, you just connect.
Well, and I think it's important for everyone to know that we've considered all of the costs that move forward with a project.
Sure.
This is your opportunity to let them know what kind of committee you are. That you're not just doing the selectmen's biddings, you're doing this on your own, you're looking at it, you're giving it your complete due diligence. And I think you need to think about that, because when you leave that town meeting, you want them to know, you guys are looking under every single stone,
Okay.
and you've got the best interest of the town at heart.
The other thing is to present it at, you're actually doing something for the townspeople, for the
Right.
voters, not for the Board of Selectmen.
Exactly.
You've been given this charge, you're representing all the people that are sitting in that audience and the taxpayers, and make them really feel that.
I think one of the most important things based on that point is that we were given a charge to come to you for this town meeting for which property we're going to buy. And all of us said, no, we're not working on that timeline. There's way too much work to do. So we're not going to work on the selectmen's original wishes. We need another year. And my guess is that will make sense.
Yes.
Well, because also,
We'll buy some secrets.
because we ran into, this is not going to work. This is not in the best interest of the town of Tilton. So, do you feel comfortable as chair doing that?
Well,
Speaking.
here's the bomb. I will not be there on Saturday. I had a last minute family change. So we can talk about that before we leave as a committee on how that's going to work. I don't
Who
think.
drew the short straw?
Well,
I brought a coin.
Eric,
It's a five-sided coin.
Eric Pyra, Commissioner to be, is
Co-chair.
is the co-chair. So we'll need to discuss that. And I do apologize to every person in the room. That was a total last minute change. But
So I'm going to
certainly-
move it to the floor and then defer it to the committee. So whoever's going to speak for the committee is going to speak for the committee. And then we can just answer questions as it goes along. I'm fine with that, but it's mainly coming from the committee.
Okay.
Is the committee prepared to answer those questions?
I believe so. I mean, most of us have been at all of the meetings, and we're all on the same page as far as the work we've been doing. And
Feel free.
yeah, we have no charts and we have no plan.
Right.
And one of the questions that I've been asked most frequently is, where's the plan? We want to see the plan.
Tell me to.
And at every single meeting, we've said, we're not ready to bring forward a plan because we don't know what lot it will be on. So it's not right for us to have a plan that we don't even know.
Here's the building, we gotta find a lot it'll fit on now.
So, it's kind of like going to buy a card and go to buy the envelope first and you don't know what card's going to go in it.
Well, most of them know that we've paid for plans.
We have several plans, and the architect said one of those will fit on the properties that we're looking at, so.
We're not ready to commit to that.
Right. Right.
No, to either plan, but they are hoping that we're not gonna pay money for another plan.
Right.
No,
We're gonna
I think that-
adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. Adapt to
Existing.
one of the
Right.
That's
existing.
what people wanna know. It all has to do with money. As it should.
Do you think moving forward, and this is really not for this weekend, I guess it could come out, is, are we planning to build a disposable vinyl siding and lightweight constructed building? Or are we looking to build brick and mortar? Those questions come up. And one of the things that
30-year or 50-year.
yeah, we've talked about, I think it was at the very first meeting, I happened to walk by the case over there, and I was looking at the original picture of building this building right here.
The cornerstone.
As a cornerstone building, it's brick and mortar, and we're still working out of this building. Now, if we move forward with a lightweight constructed building, are we looking for a 30 or 50-year building, or are we looking for something that's an investment for the community?
An investment for the community is my vote, but I'm just.
Well, and we just want to throw that out there as a question and then leave. because we haven't figured that part out yet. And I think, to Chuck Drew's point, he said it at every single meeting, is we need to come up with a marketing plan moving forward for the next year, and feedback from the community of what does the community want. We've heard your take, but what does the rest of the community want? And we need to be all ears for the next 363 days, you know, for what they want.
That would have been nice to have been able to have a flyer ready for town meeting that we could have handed out with those types of questions on it.
Well, I don't think that we're behind the eight ball. I think we need to take every single question from town meeting, and then every question that comes forward, and have that marketing plan that Chuck keeps, you know, bringing forward.
What if you said at town meeting, if you asked them like a couple of those questions and took a vote?
Well, I don't know.
So, here's the thing, could we create a website for your committee where you could put out those questions and then people could respond by email? Would that even make sense? I know when we were developing Riverfront Park, I was on that committee, and we sent out mailings and mailings to get input from the community. What do you want? What kind of park do you want? I mean, that's why we have brick walks, concrete walks, and gravel walks. That's why there's
That's
three
what
different
people want.
mediums, because that's what people wanted. What you see is not what the committee created, it's from the input we got from the citizens.
Would the Board of Selectmen be against social media, Facebook page, website, you know, not to overload the community with, you know, 5 different mediums, but to focus on something that allows to talk back and forth?
Mhm.
You know, we certainly could sift through all of the minutia that comes with a Facebook page, but we could read through that, all of us collectively, and see what has added value to the project.
I would be for that. I think we should have one.
It gives them a voice, is what I
Right.
think we had already discussed during meetings. If we can reach out to the community, the people who
Get them involved.
respond, if we hear them. I think the biggest fear that people have is they're gonna do what they want anyway. At least if we're gonna do what's best for the town, but if we can get some response and say, these are the reasons why we're doing this, because this is what we've heard from the community, like you were saying, we're doing this for the community. We are taxpayers. We wanna make sure that we're getting the best bang for our buck. It's really what it boils down to in the longevity.
Yeah, we don't want to do this twice.
Right, right, we're doing it, this is the best we got. If
I
it
think-
works for you, if it doesn't,
That's a great idea, because that's a platform people use to communicate.
It's today's
That's where you're
platform.
gonna get the best.
I just think the website's a good idea, but I think that websites are kind of,
it's kind of.
it's a bulletin.
Take
No, I don't.
information.
Trust
You
me.
have to
It
go there to
doesn't-
get it, but
yeah.
Facebook
You're
is.
talking to somebody who has a flip phone.
Yep.
I'm jealous.
A lot of people feel comfortable in
Yeah.
freely speaking on Facebook on their opinions
Oh,
and
it's
stuff.
pretty
That's
clear.
amazing.
And it is, but
Good and bad.
things are.
We can use it as a tool. It doesn't
And also
need to be-
have the medium of being able to write something down, a survey or maybe.
Okay.
So that
Does any
people have both,
selectmen
and if
object
it's
to
a result,
them having
maybe
some,
maybe.
what did you say, Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook, I think that's, we certainly can pick one.
Does anybody object?
Like Instagram or Twitter.
I
No,
think that works.
it allows for
If it's
more.
going to be associated with the town of Tilton, we should get Tim in on this, should we not?
Well, you could do your own Facebook, Google group too. Because otherwise you're gonna get people from other communities.
I think, yeah, you make it a closed, I
Yeah.
don't know.
But this committee is Board of Selectmen's committee representing the town of Tilton. I still think we should have Tim's consult.
Yeah, but you can have where people have to join, so you know who they are, and you
Close
have
it.
control over.
Yeah. So if the board doesn't have any objections, then we could eliminate the board and you could go straight to Tim.
Yep.
Does the board have any objections to that idea, plan?
As long as you also include some type of handwritten form that people could pick up, survey
All
form.
survey form flyers
For those who
Input
don't
sheet.
use, yeah,
That don't use computers, right?
yeah.
at the counter type
Old
thing.
school.
Yes.
Old, yeah.
Some people don't want people to
Just-
know.
And some people don't want their opinions known on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And they
Exactly.
could be
can have
anonymous.
an instant message, they could, so they don't have to post it there, they could post it to the committee prior.
And they
They
know
don't
that.
have to post their page, their question or their idea.
This is good.
So I think that moving forward from Saturday at the town meeting, that's when the real work starts of, pulling information from the public. And we want to have that level of trust. We want the public to trust our committee and obviously the Board of Selectmen in that we're doing the best job that we can. And let's make this the last time we have to have a police station committee.
Agreed.
That's
I think it'll be a nice surprise if we're not coming at it some, the town with a $4 million project.
As a
So we can
taxpayer,
come
I
back.
appreciate it.
I think it's great that we've come and saying, hey, listen, this is just started. We're just getting going.
Is the consensus that the community thinks that we're coming to them with an easel with a plan this weekend?
I've had people think that.
Okay. So that'll be probably a pleasant surprise for them.
And my comment has
We're not ready
been,
for that.
that's too soon, it's too soon. They
Well,
have a
yeah,
lot of,
like
I just say they have a lot of work to do.
You know, and then pull it off.
This is where we're starting.
Picture of the committee on it.
It's the snowstorm.
Okay, so we'll figure out who's going to present and talk. There's really, it's more of a light discussion of where we're at for Saturday
Yeah,
than it is
so right there,
anything else. So,
talking about, right down the point.
can we go downstairs after we're finished here and
Joyce has a question, but of course, yes.
we'll have to convene as a meeting because there's a quorum.
I won't be there.
Well, we'll still have a quorum though, so we have to convene as a public meeting then. You okay with that?
It's not a proper notice meeting, but it would have to be, because you're, to have a time constraint,
Yeah, I didn't notice this.
it would be an emergency meeting. So just notice it as an emergency meeting because you just don't have time. Town meeting is Saturday.
Well, it's noticed on the agenda,
Right,
so it is noticed.
But when did the notice go out? The agenda?
Wednesday.
When did
This
it go?
morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say today.
When?
It just went out this morning.
Okay,
Town
so
hall
you
was
still
closed
just notice your
yesterday.
meeting in your minutes as an emergency meeting due to time constraints.
That will do.
That should satisfy 91A.
I apologize for not being there on Saturday. I hope that it shouldn't affect anything, really. So, we'll get it.
We'll just move town meeting.
To Berwick, Maine? That's fine with me.
Oh, thank you guys.
I just want to make a comment, because I had mentioned to Chuck that the committee wanted to speak to the legislative body. And, Chuck is the moderator. This is the townspeople's meeting. It's not the selectmen's meeting. It's not your meeting. It's the legislative body, and Chuck runs the meeting.
And not this Chuck.
Right. So I said, oh, yeah, the
Someday.
committee wants to get up to speak. And he's like, okay, well, it's only 5 minutes. And I'm like, and I've had the 5-minute thing held up, and you're like, when you're talking. So my first question is I would hope that the committee, someone could introduce the committee, and the committee could be facing the audience with the handheld, get you the handheld or pull the thing out of the thing, because normally you talk directly to the moderator. So I don't think Chuck would object, is if you could talk to the legislative body, and then know exactly who's gonna say what, so it can be quick and get it across. Now, people have a right to ask questions, but they still would have to go through the moderator to be recognized to ask a question.
So couldn't the Board of Selectmen, when that warrant article comes up, move and allow the
Committee to
sit
stand.
where we are sitting?
We should be recognized initially by the Board of Selectmen because you've
Right.
asked us to
Yeah.
do this.
Yes. So when we move it, we can introduce,
Well, you're
have them,
moving it, so
have
why
them
don't you
stand
at
and
that time?
introduce them, and then, do you want them to come forward and come up and,
I think
Yeah,
it would be good
front.
if they were sitting up front, because they give them an opportunity to ask
I
questions.
mean, wire.
I would just ask that when you initially do that, that you would ask for forgiveness on the 5 minutes right at the beginning. So we don't get shut down.
we'll just call them ahead of time and tell them that it's gonna take a little bit more than 5 minutes. That, I think he's aware of that anyway. I believe I brought it up to him on voting, but I don't remember his response. I'm sorry.
His was like,
Well, I think he'll understand.
Yeah.
I think he puts,
You
but
saw how well
everybody gets 5
candidates
minutes. I mean, people can ask questions from the audience.
At the beginning of the meeting, Chuck sets the time limits,
Yeah, he's got
and
his
that is the
rules.
rules. So that's the rules. You can't change them unless everybody,
People can
well,
suspend them.
Unless
as
they
long as
vote.
the legislative body
Yeah.
agrees to suspend them, because the
Right.
legislative body agrees to accept them.
So when I
So-
bring it to the floor, we can ask at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
And typically, he asks for a vote when there's an ask for forgiveness.
I'm going to write this down because I know I'll forget.
You might have passed Chuck Hill.
Is there anything else that you'd like to ask us before we go downstairs?
So just we need to think about how we can get it presented so everybody has a chance to say something.
We can hire the FedEx guy that does the commercials to speak for us.
And I think it's important to be facing the
No, I think you
people
guys
instead of
get it
facing
covered.
the-
I think you'll do good. He's very excellent.
Thank you. Let's all hope and pray and have bumper stickers made up, and we'll make this all happen.
It's better.
I think the way you're moving and going about it and what you've said tonight I will admit that I didn't have a lot of hopes for it, but I do now. I had more hopes than I did.
It'll be good.
Yeah, I
I
will.
mean, I counted one time how many committees there have been since I was a selectman, when there were committees before I was a selectman. And wow.
Some of the questions I can see that would come forward are directed towards the committee or toward the Board of Selectmen is, what do we plan to do with the other pieces of property? If those questions are directed to our committee, I think that we should defer those questions to the Board of Selectmen. So current property that we own that we're projected potentially for a police station, or other negotiations that may be ongoing. That's for the Board of Selectmen.
And we have not discussed them.
Yeah, and I'm not comfortable with us fielding those questions. And there's a lot of other work that needs to go on with.
That's content that was in non-public anyway, so
Yeah.
gotta wave that flag.
And I think we could easily say, with respect to confidentiality and non-public conversations, that's not for this meeting. So you just hope that no one brings, boxing gloves to ask those questions.
But you
Yeah, but you're right, we do need to expect them because,
Have a date set for your next meeting and say, please come, we want to hear what you have to say.
that may be
But we're under
better
time
to do
constraints.
that way. It's a perfect opening to let them know that we're welcoming them to our meetings.
that was a question that came up at our last meeting, is we have not had a public hearing on this yet. So at some point, should we be having a public hearing to allow initial public comment?
Okay, so a public hearing is to take official input and then you act on that input. If you're talking about a meeting where you're going to specifically invite the public to come to get their ideas that you may or may not act upon, it's two different things. A hearing is a pretty official thing. But if you're talking about a series of...
We're talking about something else, not a hearing, but a
There are
public...
public meetings to get people to bring their input and their ideas to you.
Do you want that at a selectmen's meeting, or would you like that at a committee meeting?
My personal feeling, I don't know about the rest of the board, please speak, is with the committee. You're the ones doing the work now.
Good, that's fine.
They're
Do
doing
you
the
guys
work.
have a meeting after town meeting while everybody's there to encourage it, or is that too soon?
I don't think we'd be prepared for that.
Yeah,
I think people run out.
Yeah.
And we
But,
certainly
I mean,
have
the
the
people
option.
I have a
That's
date,
what
even
they're
if
doing.
whatever the date is, I think it'd be nice to actually have a date,
Prepared.
so the public knows
Right, this is our next meeting,
this
right?
is our next meeting, this is where it's going to
Kick off.
be.
Figure that out
Right.
Yep, we can do that.
tomorrow night,
Yeah.
tonight.
I don't know if we can do
Downstairs.
that tonight, though, unless you come down with
Well,
us.
do you want to still do it on Mondays?
Yeah, so yeah.
Say like the first one, like April 2nd or something.
Because
You did the
if there's
second
a meeting
one,
right here, we can always meet there.
Easter Monday.
If we can stay away from the first Monday of the month, would be good.
That's April 2nd.
Second Monday.
Yeah.
April 9th. April Fool.
Chuck's on Monday night.
April 9th would be the next one, which would be fine with me.
I mean, even if we do have I think we should have a meeting before the meeting with the public, so we can kind of go over some things. I don't think our first meeting after this should be
With it.
with everybody.
Okay.
I think we should kind of get our ammunition.
We'll look at some dates for Mondays when we're downstairs, and we'll get back to Joyce.
Hopefully, I think you'll find that the more you engage the public, you'll have people attending your meetings.
Hopefully, that's
At
our...
least offer it to them, whether they show up or not, to let them know that we're not trying to do something behind their backs. I if they're welcome and they never come and you publicized it, that was, I think, everybody's feeling that let them feel welcome.
We'll minimize the non-public sessions. You know, obviously they'll be posted, but one of the things that we talked about is inviting the public, and then we end up in a non-public session for most of the meeting. I think we need to, if we're.
We can't do that.
No,
We
that will not go well.
We do that too.
do that too. We try to have our non-publics at the end,
Mhm.
but sometimes we just can't, but, yeah.
Well, we could structure it the same. We could,
But you also can plan your meeting where you're hoping to engage the public just specifically for that purpose.
okay.
But I would caution you to make sure when you do that, that you've got enough stuff done, because you're gonna have lots of questions.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything further? Thank you.
Say thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, that's down the road.
Yeah,
All right, so.
Good luck on Saturday.
Yeah.
So we have another 20 minutes?
Those all done?
No?
No, I didn't, non-public and I didn't ask the deed.
The deed went around.
What about
He
Tim's
went around,
report?
The quick claim.
Can we discuss this a little bit?
What do you got?
There's some costs involved, I'm not sure how.
Travel and food and stuff like that.
Does everybody know what that is?
Meeting room costs?
Do you remember when Juliet Harvey from the planning board was here? And she talked about a program from UNH
Oh, yeah.
that would help us revitalize our downtown?
Yeah.
Well, that's the application for us to be in that program.
And she said it was free.
Well, there's no cost from UNH. Are you looking?
Sure.
May I take it?
Yeah. You got
It's free, but there are some costs associated.
Well, the costs are talking, well, there's no fee for the program, but there may be some ancillary costs associated with the process. So, let's say,
So there's fees with the program.
no, so if Peter and Ashley decide to go to Pittsfield, because that's who they paired us with, right?
No, there's one trip the whole group goes back and forth, and then there's a second trip that
Yeah, but
some
I'm
make.
starting at the beginning of this sentence. And they're talking about travelers for community volunteers and respond to community will be the responsibility of the community or volunteers.
Next sentence.
There's a round trip, so you take the town car. There's no expense to you there because you're taking the town car. You're gonna go down there.
How many people are on this?
Volunteers.
Right now there aren't any.
I-
We didn't create a committee.
So we're gonna do this and have no one on it, or they don't have an ideal number they're looking for it? If we go with 3 and Pittsfield has 6, it's like,
I think we need to like research it more and discuss it. And have more information.
I think it's just a quick couple of questions to ask. I mean,
I mean, we
Pittsfield
don't just.
obviously has a question, and we could do this.
It's not something we have to sign tonight.
Right.
That's for certain. But the committee part is interesting. This is run by the Board of Selectmen.
Is-
Juliet from the planning board is trying to
She
get it
wanna be on
going,
the committee?
and we asked, when she left that night, it was the agreement of the board, we told Dari to move ahead with it.
Does she want to be on the committee?
I don't know.
So why don't we get back in touch with her and Dari to see if there's plans for a committee or anybody that's interested in that committee.
does said committee have any positions, duties, whatever? It'd be helpful to know.
Right, we need more information.
There's nothing in here that, I was looking for something that describes the makeup of the committee, but I don't see anything in here. Does anybody else?
it's kinda hard, you're holding it.
Well, I thought you guys read it, because I hadn't.
Yeah, a while ago, I don't recall every sentence.
I can thumb through it.
So I'm just gonna put committee question mark. Committee members. So Joyce, do you know if this is coming through Dari or Jules?
It's from Jules.
I know it's from Jules,
Yeah,
but is
and,
Dari's?
Dari's aware of it.
Okay,
So I know there was a group of people that met here, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and Dari attended the meeting
for this?
of a group of people that were talking about this.
Okay, could you find out from him
Up to-
I think we're looking for what? Questions board, committee members? Who?
Yeah, who, what, where, it's, where is mud right now?
I'm gonna make a copy of that now. Back to you, Steve.
Oh, no, I don't need it back.
Well, you keep it in the folder so you don't.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay. Anybody else have questions, John?
No, that was.
Details. That's a heavy one.
Yeah, did you see the check register, the other one? $766,000 check register.
Did we just pay
No, it's the
one of the
school.
Yeah.
school districts?
When those come through, it's just.
Hurts a lot.
Yeah.
Are you gonna look at Tim's report? Tim's report.
Yeah, that's, keep moving.
There's in the to be signed, yes. Could you just, I didn't write hold on it, but I think we all know we're not signing it till we have more information.
Did the generator get installed?
I thought they said yeah.
The one outside the PD?
a while
Yeah.
ago.
Captain, is the generator that's sitting outside the PD connected?
Which one?
The new
The
one.
big
The
one?
new one, yes.
The new one's all set?
The new one's all set.
Yeah. Where's the
So
other,
it just
what,
turns on?
where's the other, what, there's a second generator?
Well, the one on wheels that shared, where's the building? That's still there, that was part of that front during the storm. They're just waiting for a highway to come get it, and we got a few seconds, so.
In between
Yeah.
snowflakes.
Are we leaving that generator connected all through the summer, or is it just there for winter months?
Well, we've got the new generator that's all on the pad and everything all connected.
Yeah.
And the other one's just there because we want it there for emergency storms until we got the new generator.
Oh, I understand, okay.
It was a temporary, just in
Oh, it was
case.
temporary, so that's the one from, okay. I
Yeah,
got
we'll
it.
go back down.
Very nice. The other one is permanent, okay. Do we have a program whereby it's being started and,
It should be a schedule and maybe a little sign off and check slip, and I believe that's what we asked for last year, so. So it's done on a regular maintenance and maintained.
okay?
There's a lot of them, they're preset, they're,
Yep.
got them programmed where they'll, whatever the frequency is, once a month, once a week, whatever, it kicks on for a certain cycle.
Unfortunately, this one is just a trailer, road, so it's not connected up to any set schedule for its routine check. They have to plug it in, they're supposed to be plugging it in.
Our portable ones with the sewer is the same thing, it's just it's mounted on the ground and they're programmed and they will, I think, once a month kick on and run for 15 minutes.
He's talking about the one on the pad.
Yeah.
The one that's permanently there on the pad.
Oh, yeah, the one on the pad, yeah.
That'll automatically
Yeah.
kick in and do its thing.
I
But
thought you meant the portable.
I was asking him about the portable, do they start it occasionally?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
Kim's report.
We looked at it,
Oh, you did?
yes.
There wasn't any comments or anything?
It's really more for
It's
the
for town meeting.
town
okay.
meeting
Oh, okay.
than anything.
Okay.
Very nicely
No,
put
I
together.
had noticed this bill came through for the final connection.
Do we have the actual estimates on the carpets? Do you have those 3 estimates on the carpets? Are you getting those
2
with
of them.
2 estimates? Do you have also the other people that you reached out and nobody answered, right? On the carpets?
And I have samples of the carpeting and of the tile.
The other, do we have any more information from Brock? I know we told him Saturday morning, but we have another storm coming next week as well for the salt, the budget.
He sent that to you, I think.
I didn't get any.
Send us the report.
Yeah, he sent it this morning.
Where's the replaced time clock with photo control at the PD?
Sorry, I gotta look.
Did you replace the time clock?
I don't know.
I didn't see it. Maybe, I might be wrong.
Chief?
Rob Mitchell has
What's
attached
the
all of
replacement of a time clock?
Okay, I do
with
have
photo
it.
control?
Yeah, okay, good.
That's we did the photo one, when the time clock went.
Outside lighting.
Outside lighting.
Oh, at the PD?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I see. So,
Same much cheaper.
Catherine, do you wanna do that tonight? Do you wanna do a meeting early, before the town meeting and amend the budget? Like we did last year? For the,
We can't amend the budget that's going to the floor tonight because it's the budget committee's budget that's going to the floor.
correct.
We can only amend the selectmen's budget, so it would make sense to wait until Saturday and amend it on the floor, I think.
But we need to, as a board, decide whether we're gonna do that or not.
Do we approve it?
Anybody can do that.
Is that our recommendation?
I mean, it will have more strength if the board of selectmen agrees to it.
Yeah, good.
But anybody can do it.
Just so I get
So, that's,
But we can do that right now. I can't bring up this.
We're saying the same thing.
Nope, I can't bring it up.
I thought it was that big.
No, I can't make it open. This, yeah, I want to talk about what this computer is. I bet it makes a good
So-
frisbee.
Right, we just need to make a decision how to do that.
I want to know about it.
It gets done.
Can you bring it up? We have like 8 minutes.
The report? I got the report.
So, Rob, Mitchell,
Sean's getting in touch.
Rob Mitchell right there. I can't open it. We're not allowed. You can.
I don't want to forget.
What's that?
I can't open this report.
Go further down, John.
I didn't want to.
Down further on the page.
Keep going down, yeah.
So he
Different than normal, yeah.
It's public information. He wants to raise the salt. Is it salt and sand?
Here we go.
Oh, how'd you do it? Where'd you find it? Oh, it is.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
So he needs to increase it from 35,000 to 55, an increase of 19,500.
But it's already at 46, so. And then, if we're at that, and we get a nor'easter next week. Of course, you don't have high acres.
Sand.
No, sand, salt, next, lower. We can ruin the economy for Savannah and her kids, or we can try to be a little more proactive. 60 was hard.
So he's got 35.5 in the budget, and he has spent 46.548. Okay, board. Is everybody okay with increasing that budget by $19,500?
Yes, we need to.
Not really, but I'll probably go along with it.
My sentiments. Actually, did I hear a yes from you? I got a yes from you. Okay.
Do you need a motion?
No, because anybody can do it.
No, we have to do it at town meeting.
So, but do we need a consensus to do it at town meeting?
It's a,
Yeah.
we already have.
Behind it.
We already
We're
have.
just looking to see if we all agree.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, who's going to do it?
Joyce,
Yep.
can you have the motion written out for us to increase that budget line for Brock, salt and sand?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you're gonna do that?
For Saturday.
Okay, it's a consensus.
Just have it written out for us and one of us will run the budget. I think that's the only one, isn't it? I hope.
Anyway.
Yes, I did. That's right. So welcome everybody. Who's the chief? Okay, there he is. Our chief of police. Got 4 minutes and counting.
Okay.
Thank you. I think so too. Yes, can we put the flags down? We usually put the flags on the floor. Thank you, John.
Yes, Sam.
Building? Oh, we can back it over first and then it goes. Okay, does it go on this one?
That's the money.
Okay, well, greetings, a very special occasion. And we have Noah M. Molius? Demolonis. Okay, thanks. So, to the inhabitants of the town of Tilton.
Before we get started, I just want to thank, Noah has some guests here tonight. Jessica, Mom, Dad, Mike Timalonis, who I've known for many years, was a police officer in Lincoln with Grafton Sheriff. Sister Amber, thank you for coming, and girlfriend, and everyone else who came here to be here for him. So before we get started, I'd just like to say I'm extremely excited because Noah is our first police explorer to actually get sworn in as a police officer. So I think that's worth a round of applause. I always hoped that one of our police explorers would come back to us as a police officer. And we've been trying to talk him into it for several years. And I know he's going to smile when I say that because every time I saw him in the corridor, I told him I want to get him back here someday. And so Noah's been a part-time police officer in Maine, in Wells, Maine, since 2016. He started as a police explorer back in 2012 with us and stayed here till 2015. He's had several great jobs. He's attended college and is presently working as a police officer in Maine, and we're glad to get him back here to New Hampshire. I'm sure his family is glad to get him back here. And we're very excited tonight, and his post leader, Rich Ort, is here for him too. So anyway, and Selectman John Scanlon has offered to swear you in tonight, Noah. So.
First, to the inhabitants of the town of Tilton and the county of Belknap and to the state of New Hampshire. Whereas there is a vacancy in the position of part-time patrol officer in the town of Tilton. And whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office. Do hereby appoint Noah M. Molnas to the position of part-time police patrol officer for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, which shall be effective as of March 19th, 2018. And whereas upon taking your oath of office and having this appointment and the certificate of said oath of office recorded at the town clerk, you shall have all the powers and perform the duties and be subject to the liability of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. Given under our hands this 15th day of March, the year of the Lord, 2018. So I'm going to take the oath. So if you're going to raise your hand, you're going to say, I, state your name,
Michael Taylor-Lewis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and perform all the duties
and perform all the duties
incumbent on me as a part-time patrol officer
incumbent on me as a part-time patrol officer
for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire,
for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations of the United States Constitution
agreeably to the rules of the United States Constitution,
and to the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
to the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
And Noah, do you want to call up who's going to pin your badge?
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing?
I've done this before. Once or twice.
$5 after your dad.
It's not a star, it's more difficult. I need better glasses.
Beautiful.
We got to cameras going. We'll start over here.
We're just waiting.
Okay,
I
guys,
think
put
there's a
this
couple
way.
over this way.
I know, could you get out of the picture so it makes it better?
I'll try to.
No, one invite. Picture too.
Good?
All right, stay up there, Noah, there's one more. Can I get the board, please? John? Catherine, please?
I'll get it for 15.
Adam's got mine.
Was it down here?
Here, I'm sliding back. I was gonna go over that way.
I'll hide behind.
That next to my buddy, yeah, we're,
Let's photobomb it.
Yep.
Ready?
Joyce on going, yeah, she's on a mission.
Hold on.
Oh, we're so far away, does it matter? All right, Ashley?
Rich, do you want to grab one too?
I like this.
Everybody say Freddie Flintstone.
Everybody's, it's got a little circle around their faces.
Well, we can't pronounce his last name, so we have to say Freddie Flintstone.
Okay. Oh, but you want to get it, this is your
It's
game.
a Tino, so it's a little bit different.
Okay. Rich, did you get up?
Do you want to get one, can I get you guys like Rich, Steve?
Oh, he was one of yours?
Peggy's gonna get everything.
Oh,
I know,
Hey, all
right?
grown up now. Congratulations.
Well, Steve's not taking pictures.
Good. Pick 2 dates. And then just. One more. One more.
All right.
Oh, yours already.
Yeah. Rich, get up there.
Steve.
I thought we just do it.
Steve, where's
Oh,
your
you
camera?
Steve, where's your
You
camera?
guys are gonna have to move over. Oh, yeah, okay. It's rare that we get you in the picture, you're never here. Well, that's nice.
I know they're trying to call. You want us to straight up? Yeah.
Take a brief recess. Okay, we are red. Red is on. Back from recess. Welcome back, people. So, he's cool.
Right, right.
Good night, sweetie.
Did you want to do,
You want me to just hold it?
I say we hold off another week, because we had elections all day Tuesday, we got town meeting on Saturday on the hiring policy.
Oh,
You
yeah.
probably even hadn't had a chance
That'd
to
be
look
great.
at it. I mean, we started last week, but,
I would say it's some, but not all of it.
and I haven't looked at it since then.
Is everybody good with that?
Okay, so you, the motion, then you want the motion ready, we talked about this, this. And we're gonna do committee assignments and everything on the next
I
week.
think we pretty much did that, didn't we?
We did it.
Oh, you did all this?
Yeah. I figure why not? We have a short meeting. I don't know what's coming up next week. We're here. We have plenty of time.
The deed, did we do the deed?
Yep.
The deed, go over here.
And you're gonna get more information on that MOU?
Yes,
Joyce is gonna get from Dory.
yep, okay, so that's done.
That's done. Whoa, we're moving on that pile.
And you read Brock's, and you're gonna go with the motion, and Tim, is there anything that you need to do on Tim's?
His is really an informational pamphlet for Saturday.
Excellent put together, though.
Are you gonna have something next week for Caleb with us, so we can kind of figure out what we're gonna do? The emails have not been very,
No, it hasn't been.
yeah.
That's why I think we need to at least see if we can get something done on the really bad spots.
We need to get them to do something, but we need to move forward on a plan of, the road is hideous.
All right, so then I guess the only thing is the non-public.
And this is,
I just have one question. Any news on what's going on with the Winnisquam area as, spring starts to approach? I want to address all that.
Oh, the
Parking.
With them the other day.
Oh,
Parking.
yes, yes. In fact, there's a new owner of Winnisquam Market, and they've also purchased the parcel next door to them, Adrenaline Sports, and there's a mobile home there. I met with them yesterday, and that's what they were coming in to talk about, was parking. And I said, well, you need to come in and talk with the selectmen, but I showed him what the initial plan was, brought him up to speed on why nothing had been done yet. And so I was going to ask the board if on March 29th they could come in and present their proposal to you for parking. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Parking. We'll go
That'll be
through
your
it.
meeting.
Pardon me?
That'll be John's meeting.
Okay, yeah, so on the 29th they'll come in. But just to give you a little flavor, one of the questions they had, because we have the encroachments, which are primarily in front of Adrenaline Sports, and Winnisquam is okay. And then the 2 condos, they've got some bushes and things. And he says, boy, do you think the selectmen would mind if we moved the sign, our sign? I said, geez, I don't know. I said, ask them. Ask them, I'm sure it won't be a problem.
I'm glad they're taking your
And
commission.
they're gonna try and create additional parking on their land. They're gonna have nice grass, but I don't want to take anything away from them because they're very
Sounds
excited to
exciting.
tell you. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I
Very
think that would be good to, start thinking about it because
Yep.
it happens quick.
Yep.
Spring.
Thank you for bringing that up.
So he knows he has to go work with Dari and with Al to get the demo permits, and if there's gonna be, I don't know, site plan would kick in because they're planning on putting in a little ice cream.
Yep. Well,
Have they been in to talk with you about that?
Dari and Al would determine that. There's a list that the planning board came up with where it generates a site plan. But there's never been an ice cream parlor down there, and parking would be an issue, so I would suspect that would be a site plan.
Yeah, because they're gonna have parking on their property as well. What they'd like to do is get rid of as much of they're not gonna move any telephone poles, but clean out what's in front there, and then they're asking for permission to
So,
put more diagonal parking.
Did they have a map of the area to know where our boundary actually is?
Yes, they do, that's why I met with them.
Okay,
I
so
gave
they,
them copies
good
of all
job,
that.
Joyce. So they know
Yep.
they've already encroached.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, this,
And the only other thing they're gonna add, and I explained about the problem with the access points. Well, it's not a problem, but that the state, they all have rights to using those. So he did want to know if, right now, the one-way stops at the stop sign in front of Winnisquam Market. Now that they do own that other place, they want to know if they could just move where the turnaround is going to be when they come in. I said, well, we got to talk to the board about that. I said, I'm sure. I said, they want to promote, they want to, the whole reason they even started the parking thing, and because they want to, work with the businesses and the
promote
people
the
down
little
there.
area. It's nice that they're gonna have a plan,
Yep,
written out plan.
yep.
That's doing a lot of the work that we're trying to figure out
Yeah.
too.
And I said, the whole reason this even came up was that because of the drainage problems down there. So the town's role was to fix the drainage, and while they're fixing the drainage, to come up with a parking plan. They had a public hearing, and they decided, yep, people that live down there said try one way, and
Are we putting this
Things
out
came
to
to a halt.
bid?
we'll put it out to, we'll have to,
Then we
because
need
the
to do
prices.
it now.
Well, yeah. But can we wait till we're done with the nor'easters, though?
No, you need to put it out to bid now.
Okay.
A lot of those companies already have their summer.
Okay.
Well, it's depending when you want it done. If you don't mind it done in November, you can put it out.
Right, but you need to put it out now.
Okay.
Don't wait.
If you want it done early, we're running way behind.
We're way behind you. You're looking more at August, I would think now. Maybe September.
So is the 29th okay?
Mhm.
They come in?
I think so.
Okay.
Eager to keep that moving.
Do you want to do selectmen's reports or anything before we do
No,
non-public?
we go non-public. Motion to enter non-public session for the purpose of discussing matters which are discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself. Unless such person requests an open meeting, this exemption shall extend to any application for assistance or tax abatement pursuant to RSA 91A:3.
Second it.
Roll call vote, please.
Frog, yes.
Constantine, yes.
Dawson, no.
Scanlon, yes.
All those in
We are
favor?
red is on.
Aye.
Motion to seal the minutes of non-public session as they pertain to tax abatement permanently.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And this is the motor vehicle that you would like us to purchase?
Patrol. Patrol vehicle.
Is Ashley coming back or is she gone?
I'm done.
This is the cat made a copy.
Can we look at it and then
Sure.
John put it on the schedule for next week? Promise, John? John, that's a question to you.
Yeah.
We have a 5 and a 5:30 next week.
What are those?
John, that's your
The
decision.
auctioneer and Dari and Tim Gilbert. So it would have to be 6. How much time do you need?
How about the week after?
Depends on how long I gotta argue for.
Half an hour?
How about the week after?
Greg, come
To review it.
Yep. I'll remind you.
6 o'clock's fine.
6 o'clock?
Work on
Okay.
the,
I don't wanna keep waiting and pushing it off because it'll be,
Okay.
by the time they order it, it'll be like August by the time we get it.
You good with that?
Yeah, as long as you don't use certain companies for retrofitting it, like
Yeah.
where our truck is.
Like the third one down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
What? What are you looking at? Oh,
That one?
Yep.
That's not where our truck is.
Yeah, that's where we bought our truck.
Yes, but that's not who's,
Then they sent it over to the.
that's not
other
who's
one.
stalling us.
I know.
Oh.
They bought the truck through
oh, this one. Oh, this one.
No, they
We
bought
could
it.
have bought the truck anywhere,
Oh.
and it probably would have gone to that company
I know.
for the retrofit
I'm
for that
not
type
sure.
of truck.
There's a bunch of different companies,
Well, yes, but that,
but I think they should have stepped up to the plate for us.
I think we should have
Strong
taken it
arm,
out
saying
last
you
fall
want
when we
right.
discussed it and gone someplace else.
Brand new 17.
But that's just me.
Going to the winter.
Okay,
Since October. We need it for plowing.
All right, I'm gonna put this in my folder,
Thanks, Kat.
and we'll bring it up.
You want for Ashley?
Kat, do you have one for Ashley?
Take a couple home. Daddy will let
Yes.
you have more than 2.
Is there somewhere in here
Eat
that
it in the
states
car on
what
the way
vehicle will be removing and how those will ship through?
I don't understand the last question after you answer John's. Well, answer John.
Yeah, is there somewhere where we find out which vehicles will be, swapped out to doing what, and what will be taken off the road?
As far as like getting rid of a car?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or,
It's been out, so we haven't got a complete inspection of all the other cars, but
I stated I would need to make a vote in a second unless I had that information.
I got 3 other people that I bought.
if we buy... The new rule in my house at home is there's no more cars till 2 leave.
It's taken them how many years to learn that?
I know. Nice job.
Yeah.
Nice job. All right.
See if you figure that out.
Officer of Newlands advised that they would hold and retain a vehicle for us if we order through them. I don't get it. If we order a vehicle through anybody, won't they hold and retain a vehicle for us?
Well, they actually, they
Order
hold it,
them
but
all.
you don't have to sign paperwork, like, every,
Okay.
yeah, every year, the
Okay.
dealers will do that, they'll get X number of them in
Okay,
stock.
but they'll order the vehicle.
Yeah.
And it'll be ours until okay. I get it. All right. Oh, we're good. Joyce, we're all set?
Yep.
Selectmen's reports? Peter, got anything?
Yeah,
Has the town noticed any news organizations of the Tuesday results? Because I haven't seen anything in papers.
Uh,
I missed
Not for our
Wednesdays.
town. Everybody else's town in the Laconia has been reported.
Okay, I didn't see yesterday, I wasn't sure if they caught it early or not.
Huge upset in Sampton, Tom Saliello,
Salatello.
Yellow won, in a write-in.
And who was ousted?
Was the
Well,
newcomer?
they didn't run again. Karen didn't run.
No, it was a newcomer running.
It was a newcomer running that was been in
So
town.
they had a write-in campaign
Who was,
in over.
It was
yes, who had the book
Fredericks.
dedicated to? His name, pictures of,
Tom Saliello.
I know Tom Salatello.
The town report was dedicated to
Yeah.
him as well this
so
year.
he was
And
front
he
and
was
center on
delighted.
their booklet if you had that, so you could remember. My question is, did you have to spell his name correctly?
Who knows that answer?
That's all I had.
The only thing I had was Tommy Daniels had requested that sign be put back up, so I thought maybe you could give him a call and get the details from that. Pest House Road. Chief, do you remember the sign that used to be up there that said no dumping or no parking years ago? On the Caleb Hill thing that,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the time.
I do remember the no dumping sign, I don't remember the no parking, but that doesn't matter. My question is though, we have a cemetery, town-owned cemetery up there.
maybe it's just no dumping that he was
So-
referring to.
If we put no parking, has everybody been up there? That section of Pest Road Range off of Caleb? If you go up there, it's not real wide, I mean, it's a dirt road. You wouldn't want to go much further than the cemetery. Well, you could go down the hill, but you don't want to cross the brook that flows over it. But if you were visiting that cemetery, there really isn't any place for you to park except, half in that road at least. So if we put a no parking sign, I think it would disenfranchise anybody visiting that cemetery.
I may be incorrect, it may be just a no dumping. There was an old sign up there, and he spoke to me, and I wrote it down, and somebody, I had it on top of my town report, and that they mistook it for scrap paper, and it left the table at voting.
So if we put a sign up there that says no dumping, and I imagine it would say something more than that, just please take notice or something.
Per RSA, whatever. Also.
Yeah, what advantage is that to us? Do you know where we are?
Right, yeah.
Class 6 road, no through traffic.
I mean, it would be an illegal dumping case either way, but it definitely helps our case if it's signed.
If we could
Okay.
figure out who did it.
Right.
Right.
It adds to the case.
Okay, so it would be
Makes it
helpful if
stronger.
there was.
Yeah.
So do you have language you would suggest for a sign like that?
Yeah.
Or Jesse
I
maybe?
think just, no dumping, please take notice, anything like that. Or illegal dumping will be prosecuted, either
Oh,
one.
that's a good one.
Want to research it a little bit more, and we'll talk about it next week?
Do I get together with Brock to have them made, or do we? Yeah.
I think Brock's, doesn't Brock?
Gonna be through the prison, isn't it, most likely?
Yeah.
Their sign shop.
Because usually Brock would order them, I can get together with him on it.
So do we want that sign put back up?
Sure.
Do we need any other of the same sign anywhere else? Because usually,
We had started last year with Nate about replacing some of the signs on the streets that they were helping with. Did we finish those?
He started with, before Brock
The
got here.
tree streets, right?
Yeah, and I actually mentioned it to him, and he was gonna try and get together with Brock and finish that
Okay.
project.
That would be a good time to do that then, at the same time to do that.
Do we need any more no dumping signs anywhere?
and see if Brock knows if there's any special places that
What
are.
about,
Wolf Road.
You could go.
It's a private road, but that's a good
What
one.
about like Tanger's mitigated land that Tanger owns there?
Say again?
You know the mitigated land, we had the Tanger down,
Yes, that's Wolf Road.
well, no,
Oh, you're talking about the conservation area on the left as you go in Manville.
Manville on the left.
That's a good place because I have at least half a dozen times, actually I had to go in there and clean some of.
I know Al and I went in there a few times.
We had a fellow living in his pickup truck out there.
Last year, the Sunday after Amnesty Week, there were 2 couches dumped there.
Yeah, so that is a good one, Chief. So maybe, okay, so should we have signs made?
Yeah, I think we should.
Have them go forward? Or do you want them to come back to us?
It's fine. Get her done.
Get her done. Get her done.
Yeah.
Rock and Al,
Consensus,
her
get
done.
her done.
Got it.
Thank you.
The only other thing is, do you think that we could possibly give a little bit of waiver, given the 2 feet of snow that we got for the candidates that put signs out that are now buried for picking up the 72-hour
I
waiver?
grabbed some of them.
I grabbed some
I
too.
was going down the snowbank, step, slipped, it must be under there.
Yeah.
Didn't pull it out.
I think so.
I grabbed some, I got some of yours, and I got some of Eric's.
Can't be seen.
Oh, I think absolutely. I mean, I can't
I
even
just
find them
wanna
on
make
my
sure.
property.
If I see any of yours, I'll grab them and get them to you.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll pull them up out of my yard once I find them.
Once
Yeah.
if I see him, I'm gonna take him, but
Chuck stood up, and he's the only one that stood up, but he did put him back up a couple times. Kept blowing over and.
I have some still standing, but you have to go through about 3 feet of snow to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll get them as soon as I can forage through them.
Find them.
Yeah.
John,
Nothing really special. Just waiting for the spring thing. I did speak to Joe Jessman about the Lehigh doing a couple of dates for providing food on the island, and he's going to work out a schedule and so that everybody can do it, and also so nobody gets burnt out, and he's guaranteed that people will be there. So Joe, master barbecuer, is working on that.
The dates that you gave us
Yeah.
last week, the executive committee said yes on those dates.
Okay.
So, we'll make sure
Let's
that.
get everybody work together and things done. Just on that. That's it for me.
well, I want to be sure and thank everybody, all the officials that worked at the election Tuesday.
Absolutely.
It went seamless.
Yeah.
It was an excellent layout. Thank you, Chuck Mitchell. And very cohesive. Everybody worked together. It was a good day. In spite of the storm, it was a good day and a good turnout. So thank you, everybody. I think that's it for
Town
me.
meeting starts at what time on Saturday?
Pardon?
8 a.m.
8 a.m. But, well, yeah,
Town
he
meeting,
puts these out
8
right
a.m.
away, doesn't he? I forget how quick these go out. All right, anything more to come before this board?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's on paper.
Wow.
What would you think?
I'm taking my book.